Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's conversation, where we will discuss jazz's 20-year history. Jazz was founded on a vision of a culture, and this innovative mindset has grown over the years to translate to how we commit to patients, as well as how we work. Through transparent communication, strong values, and patient engagement, Bruce Kozad and the other early founders of Jazz started a journey that would surprise and inspire the world. Today is a day to celebrate our history, demonstrate our commitment to patients, and create excitement for our future. I'm Natalie Badillo, Director Corporate Affairs at Jazz, and I'm thrilled to be your moderator today. Let's meet our panelists. They each personify Jazz's commitment to patients and their families. Today we are joined by Bruce Kozad, Jazz Chairman, CEO, and co-founder. Bruce co-founded Jazz Pharmaceuticals in 2003 with the vision to create a company with a focus on patients and being a great place to work. Since then, Jazz's commitment to being a purpose-led company has only deepened as Jazz has evolved into a global organization with a robust product portfolio addressing unmet patient needs in the fields of neuroscience and oncology. Julie Flygar, Project Sleep President and CEO. As an advocate and patient herself, Julie brings a depth of knowledge from the sleep community to our partnership, which allows us to effectively incorporate the patient perspective into everything we do. Greg Grunberg, actor, caregiver, and advocate. Many of the diseases Jazz focuses on are lifelong and profoundly disruptive to a person's everyday life, often requiring the additional support of a caregiver. We're excited to have Greg join us to share his perspective on his role as a caregiver to his son. Melanie Tattersall. Melanie has been with Jazz for over 8 years and has worked in commercial leadership positions across our hematology, oncology, and neuroscience therapeutic areas. Melanie received the Jazz Master Award in 2021, which recognizes individuals who've been leaders in modeling and embodying Jazz's culture and our values of integrity, collaboration, passion, innovation, and pursuit of excellence. Mel, it's great to have your unique perspective as part of today's conversation. Bruce, I'd love to hear about the origins of the company. Can you share why you founded Jazz and what led you to focus on oncology and neuroscience as two key therapeutic areas?
Yeah, Natalie, I'm happy to talk about how Jazz got started. I was in search of my next professional challenge and assumed that would be running a company in the biopharmaceutical industry, something I've wanted to do since I was in high school. But when I couldn't find a company with the right culture, the right way of treating people, I decided it might be time to start a company and build the culture right from the very beginning. That culture included how we treat people and our core values, but also a deep commitment to purpose or mission, transforming the lives of patients and their families. We looked for diseases that had real unmet need, right? Diseases that are seriously impacting a patient's life. We identified those opportunities first in neuroscience, starting early on in the company's evolution, and later, for the second half of our existence, pivoted to add oncology, another area with rapid innovation, but serious unmet needs.
It really does sound like from the beginning, culture and commitment to patients has always been at the heart of the work here at Jazz. I'd love to talk more about that. Can you tell us a bit more about how a deliberate focus on patients influences the work we do here and how this has evolved into the founding of the company 20 years ago?
Well, first, I think it's important to realize why a company exists. It doesn't exist to provide great jobs. It doesn't exist to provide returns for shareholders. It exists to fulfill a purpose, and our purpose is to help patients. I want all employees that join the company and grow with the company to understand that commitment and see it reflected in the decisions we make every day. This isn't just a slogan we put on the wall. It has to guide our decisions about what products we develop, how we develop those products, how we make sure those products reach the right patients around the globe. So we want all employees to understand we're all here with that shared mission. When we do our employee surveys, we hear consistently from our employees that they see the purpose of the company reflected in what we do every day.
Thanks, Bruce. I really appreciate you sharing those examples of how Jazz works to weave the patient perspective really through every stage of the R&D process. Julie, perhaps you can share about your experience as a patient and the work you do in the sleep community, as well as the importance of patient advocacy.
Yeah. Well, interestingly for me, I didn't really want to be part of patient advocacy. I was diagnosed with narcolepsy when I was 24 years old. I was in law school. I had a plan to, become a lawyer and go on my, busy, high focused, high career ambition life. Narcolepsy was not part of that plan. And so when I was diagnosed, I didn't want narcolepsy to be part of my life. I just thought maybe I'll take treatments, but I'm going to not talk about this really. Um, and when I did bring up narcolepsy to my friends, they often laughed. They thought it was a joke. I guess I thought narcolepsy was a joke before I was diagnosed, but I was quickly realizing it wasn't a joke at all. So it took me a few months after being diagnosed to realize that I felt very alone. Um, that kind of saying, like, you can feel alone in a crowded room. I was around lots of people, my friends, my family, but I felt really isolated, that people didn't understand what I was going through. And I guess I started to think that that could affect a lot of other people too. And I eventually did embrace community. I went to a conference, I met other patients. Uh, I found role models, people that were doing great things with their life while also living with narcolepsy. And so after I graduated from law school, I decided to write a book about my experience because I hadn't seen anything out there from movies or books or media that shared a really true story about narcolepsy. So um, I wrote a memoir about my experience and then found that so many people around the world were really touched by that and that they felt less alone because of reading my story. And I just knew people weren't alone. We were, all shared so many things in common. So eventually founded Project Sleep as a nonprofit to make sleep cool, to raise awareness about sleep health and sleep disorders, and help other people share their stories. Because everyone has an amazing story and so much to share, but really empowering those voices and letting them know that their story matters is just such an amazing thing to be doing.
And if I can just jump in and say, I read Julie's book, have recommended it to many others, and it's one of the best examples in my mind of how we make diseases and patients three-dimensional, right? They're living real lives, diseases impact their lives. And so, Julie's work has really impacted, I think, not just the sleep community, but our company beyond sleep to help understand what patients go through day in and day out.
Julie, from your perspective, what is the role companies like Jazz play in helping advocate for patients with complex diseases? How does collaboration and partnership with the healthcare industry come into play when thinking about advocacy?
I guess I was the one of the lucky ones because I was diagnosed within about 6 years of my symptoms starting. But on average, it can take people 8 to 15 years. They see multiple doctors, and so finding that accurate diagnosis is such an important first step. It's not the only step, but it's such an important initial step to know what you're dealing with and to be able to get treatment and be able to find social support and other people that are out there living with the same thing. So, I think Jazz and, an organization like Project Sleep, we really share that mission of reducing those delays to diagnosis in different ways. A person living with narcolepsy, there's so many different parts of your life that impacts, from your social interactions with your family, your friends, and how you manage your symptoms during the day, during the night. And so thinking of a patient as a person, a whole person, and really addressing the different needs of the person from different perspectives, I think is an important way that we collaborate and help ensure that the voices of patients are actually at the table throughout research and throughout the medical process is just so important and something that Jazz really helps to elevate.
Yeah, and it really sounds to me like patient advocacy is a joint effort that not only falls to patients themselves, but also to their families or care teams. which I think is the perfect segue to talk more about the role of the caregiver. Greg, can you start by telling us about your experience as a caregiver?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me. And a caregiver is never something that my wife and I, we ever thought that we were going to be a part of. We just didn't. We didn't know anything about epilepsy. Our kids. We have three beautiful boys. And when our first Jake, right before he turned 7, he started having these little staring spells, and that developed into all kinds of different seizures over the many years that we've been dealing with this. He's 26 now, and he's doing great, and he's been doing great for many years. But back then, we were overwhelmed. We knew nothing, like I said, about epilepsy or seizures. We didn't have a support group. There wasn't anyone to talk about it with in our family. We didn't know where to turn. We felt very isolated, very alone. And I learned very quickly that we weren't alone in feeling that way, that there are so many caregivers out there, so many people that need to share their stories, that need to talk to others. And it's not just therapeutic for us. It's not just a way to know that you're not alone, but it's a way to glean information, to talk to others and learn what to do, what not to do, learn from others' mistakes, learn from others' successes, and also learn that there is a lot in the pipeline. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Watching your child have a seizure is it's very hard to watch. It's something that you look at and you say, I just want to trade places with them. I just want to know what to do and how to do it. And talking to doctors, if you're not familiar with it, if you don't have the confidence in it, if you don't talk to other people about what that's like, you're very intimidated.
I just want to jump in, Greg, and say I've been privileged to be at a live talk you've given. I've, of course, seen the videos you've done, and they make such an impact. And Julie, I have to say, is a gifted presenter, in person or by video. And one of the things I love that you've done, Julie, is Julie has developed other speakers, right? She can do it, but she can expand her impact by empowering others to share their stories. And Julie, I think that helps them. It helps you extend your impact, but I think sometimes, Greg, as you say, the ability to share your own story is so empowering.
That's the other thing that caregivers have a really hard time accepting, is a pat on the back and saying, you're doing a great job. Every day is not going to be a win. There are tough times, there are good days and bad days, but you need to step aside. Like when people say to Elizabeth and I, they say to us, man, you guys are incredible. I don't know how you do it. I hate hearing that. I just hate it. So what am I supposed to do? I'm a parent. This is what I do every day. But it's important to know, hey, you know what? We are doing a good job.
Let's chat a little bit about working at Jazz and how our focus on the patient fuels the work from an employee perspective. Melanie, can you share more about your role at Jazz?
Of course, thanks, Natalie. So, I started at USA in 2009, and Jazz actually acquired USA in 2012. And I'm very, very, very happy to be part of the Jazz family, and we really were at the time Jazz acquired the company. Since then, I have been in different roles within 2 therapeutic areas, within oncology and within neuroscience. And my journey actually began in the European headquarters in a global role. And when I moved back to Germany, I actually worked in different roles in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Poland. And for us, Jazz's main focus is to make a difference to patients' lives globally. And that's also the reason why I'm here, actually. And the commitment to patients is visible throughout the whole organization. It's basically in our DNA. So whenever you speak to somebody within the company, you actually feel that this is a really, really big commitment to them. And I'm pretty sure we will continue this journey with the ambition to increase our geographic footprint from a globalization perspective, but also to increase the patient access around the world even further for the patients. And consequently, more patients globally have the opportunity to access our medicines. And just looking at the German business itself and looking at how that evolved. So I started when we were around 20 employees, or actually even less than 20. We're now then more than 50 employees. And that actually just means that we have a much wider patient reach than we ever did before. And You asked me about challenges as well. So to be honest, working in a fast-growing company can have challenges, of course, but we do actually see them as opportunities. So we have more talent, we've got more capabilities in an organization across the globe, and therefore I'm actually pretty confident that we will be able to help many more patients and, of course, their families in the future. And I'm really, really excited about that.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. From your perspective, what unites Jazz's approach in two very different therapeutic areas, oncology and neuroscience?
Exactly. Yeah, I actually had the pleasure of working in both therapeutic areas, in oncology and in neuroscience. And it was, and it still is, a really, really great experience. And what unites them, or actually what both therapeutic areas have in common, is that we can address and help patients who are very, very difficult to treat and who have very rare diseases. And it is a patient population with a really high unmet medical need. And therefore, due to the nature of these diseases and the complexity, it's very important that we provide right education to the healthcare community. And it is essential that we provide the healthcare professionals with the latest scientific information and educate them about our medicines, because it is that rare and it is that complex.
Thank you to the amazing panelists for this incredible and insightful conversation about the history of jazz and the role we play in delivering therapies to patients with unmet needs. Also, thank you to our audience joining us for today's discussion. Our 20th anniversary celebration isn't over yet. In just a few moments, we'll be playing a short video featuring 20 Jazz employees as they share perspectives on how they bring new ideas, question the status quo, and infuse innovation into all that they do for patients. Remember, with our strong commitment to innovation and patience, the possibilities are endless. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank
being
you for
with all of
having
you.
me.
This was
Happy
fun.
20 years.
Yes, happy 20 years.
Thank you, Julie and Greg, for sharing your stories. It was really, really inspiring.
At Jazz, I start every day really excited because I'm constantly challenged to ask myself, how can I make a difference in the lives of the patients we serve? From that point of view, everything we do at Jazz matters, and that's why I'm proud to be part of the Jazz family.
At Jazz, we work alongside healthcare partners aiming to achieve the right outcomes for patients. In the past 20 years, we've built relationships with healthcare professional and patient communities that offer deep insight into patient and physician needs. I look forward to building on these relationships and to continue being a valued partner to the broader healthcare community.
In order for a company to be truly patient-centric, it has to transform the passion for the patient into actions that directly benefit patients. At Jazz, our goal is to develop medicines that have the needed input from patients, caregivers, and advocates that will provide the most value to the patient.
Je suis impressionné par tout ce que Jazz a accompli en 20 ans. Pour moi, une chose est très claire, les conditions de travail chez Jazz sont exceptionnelles et la diversité est encouragée afin que chacun puisse être lui-même et donner le meilleur de soi.
Jazz, putting patients first, has a really big influence on the way I work, especially as I'm a mum to a very special young man with very complex health needs. Knowing the difference we can make to patients, their families and their carers really drives us all on to do the very best we can every day.
One of the things I really appreciate about Jazz is how data-driven we are. Our teams are empowered to follow the science wherever it leads. And by valuing objectivity and diverse perspectives, we're able to focus on opportunities that truly have the greatest potential to bring meaningful benefit to patients.
One of the ways that we live into Jazz's culture is through our concertos. These are employee resource teams that invite all our colleagues to enhance our business by embedding diversity, equity, inclusion and belonging into all that we do. As one of the newly appointed co-chairs, I'm excited to work with Jazz employees around the globe to continue to improve the way that we work together.
Science is the foundation of everything we do every day, right from selecting novel molecules to formulations and development approaches. in order to bring the best option to our patients.
Jazz has an inclusive culture, and over the past couple of years, Jazz employees have been more intentional in their inclusion efforts. It's incredibly powerful to be seen, and to truly be seen and recognized for who you are. It's been an honor over the past couple of years to get to contribute to these efforts, to make Jazz employees and patients feel more seen, represented, and cherished.
In the 5 years I've worked in human resources at Jazz, I've had the amazing opportunity of working on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. And in that time, I've met and talked to so many people that work at Jazz and people that want to work at Jazz. And all of those people have something in common. They love the purpose of this company. They love what we do, and they love that it's about people and patients.
I'm so proud to be part of the R&D team at Jazz, and also to have played a part in this incredible 20-year success story. I firmly believe that the secret to success has been in the way that Jazz has followed the science. If the science justifies the cause, we've always been encouraged to advance and to be brave. Not in the absence of fear, but in spite of it.
Having a deliberate and sincere focus on the patient offers a blueprint to making decisions and progress towards our shared mission. It always comes down to what's best for the patient. This applies to the many decisions I make throughout any given day, and also the harder, longer-term, challenging decisions.
Working at Jazz has been an incredible journey and one that I am so proud of. It's meant partnering with the medical community, listening to patients and caregivers, and developing medicines that ultimately address high unmet needs.
Here at Jazz, we are constantly changing to adapt to our environment and provide support to patients living with rare, devastating diseases. And that is what drives me every day to strive for meaningful collaboration projects with experts in the field and scientific societies across the world.
私は今年開催されたジャズの地域社員が一堂に会し、我々の役割や社会に対する貢献を話し合う会議に参加しました。そこで共有された我々の社会に対するコミットメントは毎日私を勇気づけてくれます。
This is not just talk. Patient comes first in everything that we do. And because of this, when it comes time, I will be able to walk away from a long pharmaceutical career with pride, saying Jazz is the best place that I've ever worked.
It's been a unique experience to work with a new team to identify how we translate the Jazz culture for our Canadian team and see it evolve. Culture has been the foundation of our team's success in Canada, with everyone contributing an attitude of being all in, embracing diversity and ambiguity, collaborating, and championing a curious mindset.
In clinical development neuroscience, the science underpins every step of the way. I'm excited about the future of Jazz in relation to how we're going to incorporate the patient perspective in a proactive and scientific way by using both quantitative and qualitative data methodologies.
We also are trying to challenge ourselves often as we make plans for the future. How can we keep the voice of the patient in our ongoing planning, because we know that is very important to what we do.
Over the past 2 decades, we have developed highly specialised capabilities that have enabled us to develop and supply medicines to our patients. We have also created an environment in which our employees can develop both as individuals and as part of high-performing cross-functional teams. As we look ahead to the future, it's exciting to keep that focus on our people and our patients.